This episode of The Rookie Hunter is sponsored by North Arm Knives. North Arm Knives are handcrafted and sold directly through a father and son team right here in British Columbia. Choose from a selection of outdoor knives, kitchen knives, and their brand new folding knife from northarmknives.com. They ship internationally and guarantee all their work. Callie and I use their products and give them our stamp of approval. Go to northarmknives.com. Hey guys, welcome to episode 49 of Rookie Hunter. My name is Mike Peterson. Kelly Molnar will be joining me shortly, as always. This is one of those episodes that we always hope we can deliver, and it's an episode that has some good news in it. Those of you who follow us on Instagram know what that news is, but the rest of you can wait until we get into the episode here. Hosting and producing a hunting podcast, it goes without saying that it adds a little bit of pressure for Kelly and I to be successful out there. So this season in particular has been very challenging, both mentally and physically for the both of us. And it is what hunting is. And every time there's a challenge, it creates an opportunity to learn something new. In this case, for Kelly and I, it's learning more about the species that we're hunting. And we haven't seen a lot of animals this year. Not legal ones anyways, and it starts to make you think about, okay, well, why are these animals not visible this year? Where are they? Why is it so different from last year? Does it have to do with weather, vegetation, or predators, or whatever it might be? So it really pushes us to do more research on the animals that we're pursuing, and also think about our tactics and things that we can be doing different. So as frustrating as it can be from time to time, it does push us to learn more and to become better hunters. So, you can look at these things in many different ways, but the key is always to be getting something from every hunting excursion. So whether it's, a rewarding view at the top of a mountain or something new you learned about, you name it, yourself, the animals, the outdoors, all that stuff is going to help you down the road. And you just got to be grateful for every opportunity that you have to go hunting. This isn't an opportunity that everybody has, and it's just totally something you should be grateful for and something you should enjoy every moment of, in the good and the bad. So, this is good news, this episode. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. This is episode 49. Next one is episode 50. And because that feels like a good solid number for a podcast, we're excited about it. And for those of you who listened to our Vortex episode with Reg Wales last week, we got a challenge up for you guys, and that's to get us to 100 ratings and reviews in the Canadian iTunes store. You guys still have another week to make this happen. And American iTunes store, I haven't checked, but we're trying to get that one up to 40 by next week. So, we don't charge anything for this podcast, and we think it's a great resource. All we want from you guys is to take just a couple minutes. It's quick and easy to leave us a rating and or a review in iTunes and help us out. We appreciate it. We read it. We consider all the feedback that we get. So big thank you to everybody who's already done it and those who are going to do it right now. For more on Kelly and I and everything hunting related, head over to our website. It's therookieHunter.com. Let's get into episode 49. I'm very excited about this one. Hope you guys enjoy it. Sit back, relax, crack a cold beer, enjoy episode 49 with me and Kelly. It's October 25th, just after 10 o'clock. I'm walking back to my backpack here after shooting a nice little 2-point muley, and man, I'm feeling pretty grateful. It was a pretty wild stalk. I sort of walked up on him with a doe initially, and he saw me, but they didn't take off or anything. They sort of just walked away slowly, and then went over top of the ridge. I crept up to that ridge. They were way further than I expected, so I sort of just kept following them slowly, and as quietly as possible. I've got my dog with me on leash here, so that makes things tricky. But I thought I had blown the opportunity because they disappeared into some thicker wooded area. So I figured there's two options as far as where they might have went. I checked option 1 and no luck, nothing there. And feeling like I had probably, too much time had passed. Option 2 was worth checking out, but likely that they were pretty far off. So I crept to the top of this ridge as the sun was kind of starting to peek out. And the wind picked up pretty hard, actually. And then, sure enough, I see 2 ears just about, I'd say 80 yards from where I was. So the wind was pretty loud. I could use that to sort of mask any noise of me and the dog. And it was a crosswind, so absolutely perfect. He had his nose up in the air, faced into the wind, because I'm sure they knew that I was stalking him. And I just had to wait because he was pointed in the opposite direction of me. Probably waited at least 10 minutes, just crouched behind a rock. And finally, the wind kind of died down. He seemed to be comfortable and relaxed. And then, he finally turned towards the doe that was there and took a shot. Looked like a perfect shot, but he was trying to get up. And I wanted to put this one to bed and make sure he wasn't suffering, so I put one more in him, and that was pretty much end of that story. So still just making my way back to my backpack. I knew I shouldn't have put it down, but it was just sort of using it as a rest. I had a spot where I was going to try and take a shot, but couldn't do it. So in an effort to sort of lighten myself and be a bit quieter, I left the pack behind and took off quite a ways here. So anyways, we'll give you more updates once I'm done with all this. I got a lot of work to do, and I'm hunting solo again. Big pack out by myself here, but super grateful. It's a really beautiful buck. He's very thick, a lot of meat on him. So feeling really, really good and very grateful for this opportunity. Cheers.
There you go, Cal.
Nice. Good update.
Yeah, so I haven't told you much about this, just so that we could keep it fresh, even though this was, I guess, about a week ago now, right?
Yeah.
A little over a week. So
I was in Vancouver at the time.
Yeah. And that, I just was trying to make you feel guilty at the last little bit there.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
it's good because I was in meetings, and it's good to have a text message that says, buck down.
Hey, yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
This was the first time in that area?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you want to start? That was a pretty brief overview of kind of the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, yeah, I mean, just the fact that it was your first time in that area is pretty cool, and the stars will align if you keep putting time in, I think.
Yeah.
But, so what made you, I guess, go to that area versus some of the other ones?
I guess, so there's a couple of areas that you tried one out on your own the week before that.
Yeah.
And then that was sort of something I was thinking about doing. But there was another area that we hadn't been into either. So I thought, okay, if we're going out doing solo hunts, we might as well try and do some different areas and sort of compare our results as far as what we see.
Mm-hmm.
If I had gone there and didn't see much of anything, then probably go back to where you were scoping things out. So I guess it's partly just an effort to cover some more ground, because our spot from previous years that had proven to be really great has proven to be pretty empty this year. And I don't think we talked about it, but we went, I think we hiked 12 kilometers that day, Kelly, to sort of push further than we normally go.
Yeah.
And there was the first bit of snow up there, and we were able to see tracks, and the trail was covered in wolf and coyote tracks. That on top of cougar photos we captured on our trail cam, I think
Mm-hmm.
that area has just been ripped apart by predators.
Yeah.
That's one theory, anyways. I think it's also been a strange year just because it's been so dry. Lots of guys thinking that just the vegetation is just burnt to a crisp, basically down here, and it might be up further. So anyways, we were exploring new spots. I decided to check this one out, and it was close to it's a longer lake, but it's narrow, and you have to kind of hike a ways to get up to it. And the trail follows this little lake for quite a while, actually. So my theory behind staying a little bit lower and next to the lake was hopefully that water source would provide something for them. And there was also some creek beds that were coming down into that lake. And sure enough, I got to the trailhead. I hiked up quite a ways, saw a herd of elk, cows, and calves. I think there were 7 or 8 of them. Saw a group of 4 muley does, and watched them for at least an hour, and then continued on up the trail towards that lake that I wanted to get into. And with hunting, man, and especially just being out, even if it's hiking or anything, I feel like the timeline seems to disappear because there's no real reference of time. It's either dark when you get on the trail or then it's light. And I don't know, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long it would have been from when I left the vehicle to when I first spotted this doe and this buck, but it wasn't too much further after seeing the does and the elk and stuff in there. And they were sort of just like, I was coming down the trail and I had Oscar too, which makes things more interesting and more challenging. I have to like tape up his collar because I want his tags on him in case something happened and he got away, or he's not one to run away, but you never know. So anyways, he's got tape on his collar so it's not jingling and stuff like that, but he's also wearing like a bright blue jacket,
Right.
which isn't great. But again, the reason for that is so that if hunters see him, they don't shoot him, because he's got a black one too, but he might look like a
Yeah, he's got the silver whitetail coat.
yeah. So anyways, that makes it more difficult. But I came down the trail, saw these guys off to my left, and it was a 2-point buck. And for Americans, I know Americans count differently than we do. So basically,
Yeah.
you're counting one side. So some guys would call that a 4-point in the States, I think.
I think it's an east-west thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
So anyways, 2-point being 2 points on either side. So he was paired up with the doe, and they spotted me for sure. But I sort of just stopped and tried not to like look at them, backed up and got to a point where I was kind of behind a tree and just sort of tried to gather my shit, basically, because my heart's pounding. It's the first buck that we have seen the whole season, which is ridiculous.
Yep.
Compared to last year. So I just tried to like collect myself and
Other than the one that I've that's been hanging out outside my house.
yeah, the ones that we can't shoot at. Yeah,
Big 4-point.
Jesus. But yeah, I tried to like collect myself a little bit, and my heart was pounding and just like, okay, what should I do? What's the plan here? And they were uphill from me, probably about 120 yards or so. And so I quietly took my pack off, kind of like just walked back into a spot, but sort of was crouched down so they wouldn't pay too much attention to me, and started to set up my pack. And was trying to get comfortable just laying on the ground. But the way I was kind of shooting uphill, it made it really awkward for me to position my rifle in a way that I wasn't like kind of bent, you know what I mean? Like arched forward. So I was kind of getting frustrated, like, oh man, this just doesn't feel good.
Like your back was bowed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So laying on my stomach, but sort of on an uphill, but with my pack underneath me too. So it was just like, this is
Yeah.
brutal. But there was no other real option, or there wasn't a tree for a rest or anything like that.
I'm laughing because when I got my buck last year,
Yeah.
remember I was messing around for like 15 minutes,
Yeah.
trying all these different sticks and logs and rocks and packs and everything, because it was an uphill shot too.
Yeah. It's tricky.
And fortunately, my buck was extremely stupid.
It was a dumb one, yeah. Yeah. So anyways, by the time I would have gotten to a point where I would have been comfortable enough to shoot, they were gone. This area is nice because it's not really a burned area. So there's lots of moss and stuff in there, and no like windfall or anything like that. So I was able to get to the top of the ridge where they were very quickly and very quietly, even with Oscar
Yep.
chained to me. So I crept up to the top, and I was expecting them. Of course, they're never where you think they're going to be. I figured they would have kept going straight, and they would have been kind of going up towards the next ridge, but they actually hooked to the left, and there's a bit of a travel corridor that they were following.
Yep.
So they had gone down that way, and I spotted them, and by that point, they were probably a good 300 yards away. So again, I had to be like very careful because there was lots of alleyways where they could see me through the trees and I could see them, kind of thing. So I had to plan a careful route where I was going to be quiet enough to kind of find a nice alleyway to shoot. But they never really stopped moving. So each time I got to a spot where I felt like I could set up, they continued to move on, kind of thing. Finally, I got to like this big boulder that I set up on. And again, kind of put my pack down, got set up on the rock, and just like not a good enough opportunity to shoot. And because he was with the doe, and then being at 300 yards, I actually had the spotting scope, so I quickly set that up and was trying to find out who was who. So he would kind of move, and then she would get up next to him. I'd be looking through the spotter and like, okay, I know which one's him. Get back to my rifle, they'd move again. It's like, oh man, I'm pretty sure I'm got my sights on the buck, but it's just one of those things that starts to mess with your head a little bit. You don't want to take a shot and get up there and realize you shot a doe out of season.
You didn't have your spotter.
I did, but like because they were continuously moving, it was so hard to like get on the scope and then go back to my rifle and decide if who was who at that point. It's
Same
kind of
thing that
obvious,
happened.
but it just messes with your head because he's a 2-point, his rack wasn't that defined. You could see it, but it's just like, well, what if that's a twig in front of her head? It's one of those things where you're just like, oh, I'm 99.9% sure that's him, but this is also like a 300-yard shot, and I want to make sure that it's a good one. So anyways, this is all happening pretty quickly. This isn't like 20 minutes of time here. This is like probably 2 or 3 minutes to try and figure all this stuff up. They just kept moving, and I couldn't get a shot off on them. So I had my pack off at that point, and I'm like, hey, if these guys are going to keep moving on me.
Did you ever think about doing the deer sound, like just a quick, burp or something, just to get them to look at you? Or did you think they were going to keep coming closer?
They kept getting further and further away, and that's kind of just the direction they were going. I don't know where they were going, but because they had spotted me, I didn't want to make too much noise and sort of alert them to the fact that I was following them.
Right.
So yeah, that kind of blew that chance there. Just wasn't going to work to shoot at them from that position. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to leave my pack here. It was in a pretty obvious spot. One thing to point out is leaving your pack behind isn't always a good decision, but it was pretty close to, I had crossed back over a trail again. So I knew that exactly where it was going to be. And I wanted to be light and quiet and quick too, because I had to catch up to these guys because the gap between me and them just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yep.
So they continued down through this travel corridor between sort of two peaks, I guess. And I followed this game trail that was like crazy how much use it was. It looks like it was a horse trail, but it was just a game trail basically through there. So following that, trying to get up as fast as I could without being too noisy, again with the dog. So pretty hard, but he gets into the zone a little bit too, and he knows we're chasing something. He knows, like, he can smell it too. So he's good that way, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yep.
But so we went up. There was two options where they could have went. They could have hung a left and went back down towards that little lake that we were kind of trailing along, or they could have hooked a right and started going up further up the mountain into some really thick stuff. And that's the route I decided to go, because I thought, okay, if they go this way, my chances are getting really slim here, and I've got probably like one opportunity to take a shot, and then they're going to be gone forever. I'm never going to find them again. So I went up top there, no sign of them. I thought for sure they had just taken off, and I couldn't see them through the trees. But decided to go back up to sort of that option 2 that I talked about in the intro, and that was pretty cool because the peak that I got up on top of was bare, so I had to really like creep up there nice and slow, and just slowly kind of stick my head up over top and look around, because we've blown so many opportunities by just plowing up there real quick, and they're just right on the other side. And that was the case here. They were like right there. From that point, when I first spotted him, I could see his ears and just the antlers sticking up. I couldn't see his head or anything, just enough to know that it was the buck. And then I sort of crept back a little bit to peek down over the other side, and the doe was she's probably only 20 feet away from him. So there was it was a steep downhill, but there was also this huge boulder that I could put between me and him. So if I had tried to set up there, he would have saw me for sure. And again, not really a good place to take a shot from. So I went back up, got behind this boulder, and closed the gap by about 20 yards. And by the time I got to this rock, which was a perfect rest, I measured out after, it was 66 yards away, and there was a crosswind coming. So I'm facing down the hill towards that lake. He's facing with his ass towards me, but he's got his head turned because there's a crosswind coming, and I'm pretty sure they were probably sniffing for me and the dog, but the wind was coming across, so they couldn't smell me at all. And the wind was coming real fast, so that was another thing that I kind of lucked out on, was the noise just from the wind alone would have masked any sound of me and the dog coming down. So that was just like a timing thing, because there was not really any wind before that or after that. So it was just this freak luck that I got. So I was on the Brock. I had my sights on him. I bet you it was probably 15 minutes I was waiting for him to turn broadside. And it wasn't until like the wind completely stopped that you could see him relax, and he started to feed on the grass a little bit. And then the doe was to his left, which would make him turn broadside towards me. And as soon as he did that, pulled the trigger, and that was it, man. He fell over right away. It was a good shot. I shouldn't have taken a second shot, but he was trying to get up. So being that it was only 66 yards, I knew I could take another one without doing too much damage, and put that in, and it was over probably within 30 seconds, and he was dead.
Crazy. I mean, that's close shot, so sometimes the bullet might not fully expand, I would
that's
imagine.
what I was wondering.
So probably a good call.
But you saw the photo and the shot placement. I was pretty happy with that shot. It was pretty close, so if I had missed, it would have been embarrassing. But it was a great shot, and so was the second one. I didn't ruin any meat, luckily, which was great. So
yeah, that's awesome. You've had some good luck as far as close shots go.
They've all been pretty close.
Yeah.
The doe was probably within that 60 to 80 range. Actually, that might have even been shorter than that. The 4-point from last year, he was probably 80 to 100 kind of thing.
Yep.
And this one was 66.
You might as well have had a bow.
I know. I was thinking that if I had the crossbow, I could have took a shot at him for sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe close the distance another 20, which could have been hard with the dog, but
I've shot 50 on that crossbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, crossbow is pretty reliable and fast, and sweet. Yeah, it's a good story, and awesome that we got a deer in the freezer this year, because it's been a tough year, man.
It was funny, just leading up to that. I'm like, I should record, because I was getting pissed off, kind of like, fuck, we're only seeing does. We haven't seen a single buck this year. Like, we're going to have to quit the podcast. We're going to have to shut this thing down because we suck at hunting. Like, you know what I mean? You start to beat yourself up, and it's like, man, and then all of a sudden you look to your left and things change in an instant there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's speaks to a couple things. One is, we have kind of tracked our progression over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and things have gotten better. But at the same time, and even Cameron Haynes says this, he's been harvesting an elk every year, but there may be a year where he doesn't harvest anything, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how good you are sometimes.
No.
You need to have all the stars align. And, I know, or everybody's trying to get some tips and figure out where we are and where everybody else is and, where they should go. I know exactly where Mike was, and I've been in there 3 times solo hunting since.
Yeah.
And this is doing, solo hunts on my own, hiking 10 kilometers a day, going up. I think I've gone up 6 ridges around that area, and I've seen nothing but does every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you definitely need some luck, and you just got to keep going until something happens.
Man, that's all there is to it. And if nothing happens in your season, at least you put in the time and the effort.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing too, like with mule deer, I find is October's a hard month.
Yeah.
And this has been a hard year, so you stack those two together, and it's a bit frustrating. But I'm kind of hoping with November kicking in, we just got a freak snowstorm. It's November the 3rd, and we've got a foot of snow up at the house.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At my place there. And I don't know, that's definitely going to have an impact in, I don't know which way. I know the rut is based more on amount of sunlight rather than temperatures. I think temperatures is kind of a myth, but you throw a foot of snow on the ground out of nowhere, and that's going to cause some movement,
things.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I've got some high hopes for this weekend, and might have to pack the snowshoes.
Yeah.
But anyways, to go back to your deer, again, you had to pack it out by yourself for the most part.
Yeah.
So
you know what, man? This time was cool because other than when I first spotted the deer, I got really excited and my heart was pounding and shit like that. But I actually took a minute to say, man, just relax. Don't fuck this up. Just be calm and think about what you're doing. This might be your only chance, so don't be an idiot and blow it because you're excited. Just take a deep breath and chill out for a minute here. And when it came to finally get my sights on him before I shot at him there, I had so much time to sit there with my sights on him and really just kind of take some deep breaths and think about what the outcome was going to be here and how quickly I had to act. So throughout the whole process, other than seeing him, I was very calm the whole time and really just trying to remind myself of all the mistakes that you and I have made over the last few years and how not to make those this time around, because it's if you blow this, man, you're not going to forgive yourself. So just take it easy.
Were you thinking about wind
quite
a bit?
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's one of the most important ones that rookies kind of overstep.
Yeah, and that's what I say. I got super lucky with that crosswind because there's no way he would have smelled me at all. It would have been even better if it was coming up, but it wasn't behind me, luckily. So super lucky, man. And that's I think that's a huge theme in hunting, and especially with this buck was just luck, man. The fact that wind even came up super hard out of nowhere, and then it was literally right after I took the shot there. Well, it was right before it stopped, basically, and that's what made him turn, and I shot, and there was no wind until about an hour later, which I can explain what happened while I was quartering the deer. But as far as after the shot, I texted you right away because I was just kind of chilling out, waiting.
Yeah. So what time was that?
It was just after 10 o'clock.
Just after 10.
Yeah.
So the wind, I think, would have been somewhat attributable to the thermals, because I've been up there a few times too, and I noticed around 9 o'clock when the light starts coming and it kind of pushes some wind around for sure. But it sounded like the storm kind of hit you too. So
I think that was part of it. That was a bit of foreshadowing as to what was kind of coming my way. But it was absolutely beautiful, man. It was hot enough where it was almost like when I got my 4-point in September last year, like hot enough that there was flies starting to come in while I was doing the first half of the deer. But what I had to do was, in that recording that we heard off the top of the show here, was me going back to my backpack, which was quite a ways away. But having gone through the process of quartering a deer so many times, I was just super relaxed. Like, okay, I got the whole day ahead of me. I don't have to rush this. There's nothing to worry about other than like having to pack this out on my own, which is fine because I've done that before too. But went and got my pack, all my tools and all that kind of stuff, and headed down there. Got myself really organized. I emptied out my entire backpack. Found some whiskey that was left over from our trip, so I had a shot for you and Garrett there. And I always bring like a big, not a big, but like just a normal bed sheet, and I like to use that to lay out all my meat and stuff like that. So my pack was completely empty. I had that sheet out. I had my game bags, everything ready to go. So like, again, feeling super organized, not rushed or anything like that. And then just got to work on the first side of the deer. And I did the gutless method again on this one. So got the back straps, the front and hind quarters, all the neck meat, as much of the rib meat and stuff that I could for just doing sausages and all that kind of stuff. And as
you have any trouble with the tenderloins?
They're always a little bit tricky. I did them last, just because I'm always afraid of puncturing something. But they're such tender meat, you can almost just rip them out with your hands. So as I finished the first half, the deer was getting ready to flip them over. I looked up and it was pretty cool. There was this huge rainbow like straight down below me. And then I look to my right and I see these black clouds just ripping down the valley towards me. I'm like, oh shit, like things are changing here quickly. Then the wind picks up like crazy, and then this black wall of rain and clouds is just ripping at me. So I flipped the deer over. I tried to get all the meat covered up and just got to work as fast as I possibly could on the second half of the deer, and just got slammed with rain and wind like insane, man. So luckily, a plug for First Light, I had my rain gear with me, never go anywhere without that stuff. Threw that on really quick. Then I had to use the rain cover for my backpack to cover up all my stuff that I had, all my gear that I had. So my spotter and whatever water filter, whatever stuff I had in my backpack.
That's actually a good tip. So if you have your rain cover for your pack, just don't think about whether you're going to throw it on your pack. Think about what else you can use it for, right? If you get an animal down. Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. So my backpack got soaked because it was kind of exposed, but I'm like, whatever, it's going to be full of blood and shit anyways. To be honest, it was brutal after that rain started, just because it was miserable, wet, blowing. Oscar was getting upset because he was soaked too. And
you usually have to chain him to a tree because
he was good this time, man. He was just laying next to the deer, and he kept like creeping closer, like maybe I can have a little bite of that piece there. But he left it alone, which was good. But as soon as it started raining, he was like, "Fuck this, man! I want to get out of here." So at that point, he started to cry a little bit, which adds a bit of pressure and frustration. It's like, man, just chill out. I got to finish this here.
Yeah.
And I was going to originally try and do it in 2 pack loads, but I got the quarter and back straps and all the meat from each side into 2 big game bags. They were stuffed full of meat, and put one of them into my empty backpack, which is, again, that 75 liter. It's the Bisco 75 from Fjallraven. Love that thing. I've talked about it 100 times. Got both of those bags crammed in there. I had a garbage bag. I put that over top to separate all my gear from the meat and stuff that was in there, and put everything back in the backpack. I kind of weighed things out when I got back. I was right around like 100 pounds probably with my rifle and everything that I had strapped on there. But splitting it up into 2 separate loads was like, no way, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to come back and then in this rain and stuff like that. So I had gotten quite a ways off the trail at that point, and had to hike back up this mountain, down through that travel corridor, follow that back out, find the trail again, and then make my way. So I was just like clawing my way out that stuff, and the rocks and all the moss was super slippery. So it was kind of one of those things where like you got to remind yourself to take it slow, because if I had gotten hurt or something,
Yeah.
I'm all alone out there. I got a cell phone, which is good, but you're sort of stranded until someone can come and bail you out.
Yeah, for sure. If you even have service.
Yeah. So as soon as I got to the trail, I was taking quite a few breaks along the way. Anytime there's a down log or something, I would just sort of just put the weight of my pack onto that log and just sit there for a minute or something. As soon as I hit the trail, it was like, yes, made it. It made it so much easier. I had my trekking poles with me as well, which certainly helps when you're trying to claw your way up a mountainside, and especially in wet conditions and that. So those came in handy. And as soon as I got back on the trail, it was like celebratory. And I did a little, some people probably caught a little live update on Instagram and that. And I was feeling pretty good. And having all the rain gear on and stuff like that, I was dry and warm. It was just like that weather kind of put more pressure on me to get out of there, because I didn't want everything to be soaking wet.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, it was. It took me a while to get out and back to the vehicle, but it wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't as bad as potentially shooting a moose 15, 30 kilometers out in the whatever northern BC.
Yeah, for sure.
Which didn't happen.
No, it didn't.
Unfortunately and fortunately. But congrats. Cheers.
Yeah, well, congrats to both of us, man. A victory for me is one for you as well. So
I just have to get a deer so we can actually have one deer each.
Yeah.
Instead of half.
Would be nice.
But I don't know. I've got, like I said, I've been in the same area a few times after, and I can't seem to find anything, and nothing stepped out in the open, but
I can't emphasize
I know there's deer
luck
there
enough. Yeah, they're in there, man. And it's going to be interesting to see what this snow, as we record, I'm looking out the window here over downtown Kelowna. It's still snowing a little bit right now.
Yep. So in BC, the mule deer regulations bumped back up to 4 point.
Yeah.
Kind of an indication that the rut's going to happen and the hunting could get easier.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they flicked the switch. But whitetails are bucks only.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was kind of thinking, like, on the one hand, I want to keep going back there because I feel like there's more mule deer bucks.
Yeah.
And there's potentially 4 point, but the sample size could be smaller.
Yeah.
Or do we go to a point where there's whitetail and muley and a bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah. Spike Fork bull moose also opened up, or is going to be. Is it already open right now, or is that coming down the pipe here?
It's open. Spike.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think it'd be good to go in a spot where there's more opportunities, and you never know, right?
Yeah.
If we had a couple deer in the freezer or an elk or something like that, then I still want to get a 4 point muley because I haven't got one myself. But
yeah,
I think you got to increase your percentages.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see what happens in the next little while here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you kind of applied everything you learned anyways to your situation, your deer.
Yeah,
it's
man.
interesting though, because when you're in that situation and stuff's happening that fast, you kind of have to rely on your instinct too.
Yeah.
And I think that instinct grows with the experience, but it definitely takes more than one time or two times, right? But
and just it was so nice to have the confidence of knowing the process after and what I'm capable of as far as packing the meat out and knowing how to quarter an animal and do all that stuff, man. It just made it so much. I was just having a blast out there, man. I had tunes playing through my phone, and it was beautiful and hot and sunny before the rain came. And it was just like, it's just grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah, you had I saw the video on Instagram, and it was like, all I could hear was Tom Petty. I couldn't hear anything.
It's funny. I thought it would cut the music out, because if you shoot a video and you're playing tunes or anything on your phone, it shuts the music off. Yeah. But Yeah, the tunes were just blaring
Yeah.
while I was talking.
Yeah, good choice
Some
too.
Tom Petty, yeah.
I think that was only like a week or so after he'd passed away
It
too.
was,
so,
yeah.
And we're big fans, obviously,
I love Tom Petty, yeah.
as musicians, but
That was a bummer.
big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was laughing at that video.
Yeah.
I could hear the first couple sentences, and then boom, Tom Petty started.
I think if you put headphones on, you can hear what I'm saying.
Nice.
but- yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Doesn't really matter. I was stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and you were still gone that night too. So Ashley actually offered to help me butcher up all the meat, but she had a bunch of work shit to do. So I said, I'll do it. I was just down in the garage and had a couple
Nice.
of brewskis, and took a couple hours, but I got all the meat into all the different cuts. And some guys don't like doing that. I love doing it, man. Just setting myself up again with some music and some beer in the garage, and
Yeah.
I can clean the meat the way I want to clean it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't have to worry about somebody else going through and hacking a bunch of shit off just because they're trying to be quick or whatever, right?
Mhm.
You can put the time and effort into your own meat. And I don't know, with a deer, it's not that bad, man. If you get into like a moose or something, probably a different story. But again, if you've taken the time off to go hunting and shit like that, and you've got the time, just do it if you feel like it. But bring it to someone else if you don't.
Yeah, I find the first 2 quarters are fun, and the last 2 start turning it into work. But
This time around, it wasn't so bad again because we've
Yeah.
done it so many times. You're just like, yeah, I know, what this cut's supposed to look like and how I have to approach it. And
Mhm.
I kept a lot of the like the front legs and stuff intact rather than trying to pull all those little pieces of meat off there so we can do osobuco and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So what did you do? You got the shanks whole.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking we probably should have done some shoulder roast.
I saved one shoulder
Oh, okay.
off the front. Yeah.
We should save that for like a joint dinner type
Yeah, man.
situation.
That's what I was saying. So I sort of did I tried different things from each side, basically. Sort of sound like, okay, we've never tried this before. I'm just going to keep all this intact, and I saved all the bones and stuff too. So I might either give those to the dog or make like a broth out of that kind of stuff too. So
Mm-hmm.
eat the marrow. That shit's good for you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had that before, and I think it was our birthday weekend there. The bone marrow appetizers with the brandy
Shot
shooter out of it.
down the
Yeah.
middle of the bone. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we didn't feel great the next morning.
No, we were hosting it. Oh boy. Oh well.
Anyways, yeah, good times. It's nice to, you might not get 3 animals or 4 animals or 2 animals, but
Yeah.
it's nice to get one.
Nice to get
at
one.
least. It takes the pressure off everybody
Oh
in the
man.
hunting party, right?
Yeah.
Myself, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's always fun to be the shooter, but I honestly don't care if it's you or me.
Yeah,
As
I
long
don't
as-
really care either. It's just being there, and honestly, and this like part of the reason I've actually come to like solo hunting a little more.
I'm glad, and I've been kind of
Yeah,
not forcing you to, but I'm like pushing you to
yeah.
go and do it. And
I mean, I do think your chances are higher when you're solo hunting.
yeah,
And I also like the fact that, you can do what your instinct's telling you to
Yeah.
do without having to have the dialogue with anybody else.
totally.
So
And
I
if,
found myself in situations where, I sent you a couple pictures of wallowing areas
Yep.
that I stumbled
Yeah,
upon.
crazy.
And that was because I was walking down the path. I had a plan that I wanted to get somewhere. It just didn't work out. I couldn't figure out how to, the initial trailhead or whatever had a bit of issues. But I figured, if I just walk up the trail I was going on and I just hang a left and go directly up this mountain, there's no path or anything. I'm just going to bypass it, go straight up the mountain over the ridge. So you start making these decisions on your own,
Yeah.
and you find yourselves in positions where you never would be
Yeah,
with other people, right?
yeah, for sure.
So I think that's definitely a benefit. On the other hand, for me, a large portion of the reason that I do this at all is that camaraderie,
Oh yeah, definitely.
experience, right? So Yeah, there's kind of like, you got to work with what you got, and everybody has different schedules and everything like that. So it's nice to go out. You have to be able to go out when you don't have those people there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, the northern trip helped me out a little bit there.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, it helps me out that in the Okanagan, there's not a ton of grizzly bears. But I'm not too worried about it anymore. Actually, it's almost like, I don't know if meditative is the right word, but you kind of get out there, you bust open your lunch bag, you kind of heat up some water and have a coffee.
Yeah.
You just sit there with your scope, and you can sit there for like 2 or 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
And
good for you, man.
For some people it's boring or whatever, but there's kind of a point where it allows you to clear your head.
Definitely.
So I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Going back to solo hunting, you made a good point there, and I've heard other guys say this too. This could be a direct quote from somebody, but like basically your actions only impact you, be it good decisions or bad decisions.
Yeah.
It only impacts you. And like you said, it's like you don't have to have the debate with whoever your partner. We're pretty good about that stuff anyways. It's not like we've ever argued about what we should be doing, but it's nice to just like on a whim be like, okay, I'm going that way, I guess, for whatever reason. Or but it is like, especially when I got that buck down and found that whiskey in my backpack, and like, damn, I wish Kelly and Garrett were here, or just anybody, right? To kind of celebrate. But that's the nice thing is like, I'm texting you and sending you photos. So there's still that celebration between the two of us. But
yeah, on the other hand, it might not have happened if somebody was there.
Exactly. Right? We could have made a totally different decision and took a different fork on the trail. And
but it'd be nice to have one person go one way, the other guy go the other way.
Yeah.
And then depending on where the deer go, you kind of always have a shot. But yeah, like you were saying, just the fact that you saw them in the first place, that might not have happened with the second person there. So you just never know, right?
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason we started this podcast was to learn. And we listen to a lot of podcasts ourselves, and we read a lot.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to get an advantage, but at the end of the day, that's all great. You do as much research as you can, make yourself better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that animal has been evading things its whole life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can only control so much.
Yeah.
You kind of need some things to fall into place for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's still a lot of time. There's November, the rut's kicking in. Like I was saying earlier, I don't want to focus totally on the 4-point muley because I don't feel exactly confident in in that situation this year. Just with everything that's happened thus far, but I think if we put ourselves in situations where there's multiple species around, and then it's like both of us. If we split up and you see a whitetail, then a moose, and boom, you got it, right?
Yeah.
Again, if you shoot a muley, a whitetail, and a moose this season, and I shoot nothing, I could care less.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we get that freezer full.
Yeah, for sure.
But
it was looking pretty sad before I got this deer. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I just like not even be down there to get anything. I just open it and look in there. I'm like, fuck. This is the saddest looking freezer right now.
See, the pressure for me was a little lower because I went on that fishing trip.
Yeah.
So I had, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 worth of fish in the freezer. Man. But actually, I woke up this morning with the foot of snow and the power was out, and all I could think about was, damn, I hope they get the power back on because my fish is in the freezer.
Yeah, true.
Fortunately, they did. But you don't. That's the other thing is it's bricks of gold, right? Whether it's your deer, a trip you make out to the ocean, and you're catching a bunch of fish, and you have all this stuff in the freezer. All of a sudden, when the power goes out, you start getting stressed. Right?
Yeah, man. Definitely.
And it shows how much we care about why are we doing this? A big portion of it is the meat itself. And if we ever lost that, I'd be pretty disappointed and upset about it.
Huge bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next month. Hopefully we got more stories to tell.
I hope so. But at least we have one story to tell.
So the other thing is both bucks you've got actually, and the buck I shot have all been with Oscar.
They have been.
So what's up with that?
I don't know. I was gonna say that. I was meant to actually. That I feel like he's good luck.
Yeah, so he's on a leash all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
It is required by law that they must be on
yeah.
leash. Yeah.
So the 2 bucks you shot were by yourself.
Mhm.
He was with you.
Yeah.
And the buck I shot, I kind of moseyed down 50, 100 yards away from you, but he
Mhm.
was like involved for sure.
Yeah.
A little bit whiny at the start
Oh
there,
my
because
God.
mostly because I was walking away
Yeah.
from you guys,
He's
so he was getting confused.
his breed
but-
is kind of prone to separation anxiety, and he loves you. So as soon as we split up, he's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
He'll start to cry a little bit.
yeah.
And-
That goes kind of indicates how dumb that buck was.
Well, it was-
Oscar was whining. I was trying to find a rest and crashing around.
it kind of shows the contrast of that year, last year compared to this year, because I think the thought was, okay, well, even if Oscar's crying, we didn't even really care if that buck left. It was kind of like,
yeah, that
well,
was,
let's just crash around and make noise here, and if he goes, then fine.
yeah,
There's a doe we can shoot down here too.
yeah, the LEH. Right?
Yeah.
So you're right.
And there was we could have come up, a couple days later and probably found another buck, no problem. Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, different situation.
But yeah, something about having him around is seems to be good luck. You think it would work against you, and it kind of does in
Yeah.
a way, because it's sort of a pain in the ass sometimes. But
Yeah.
I
I took Norris out for a walk. He's definitely not a hunting dog, but I don't know. I stumbled across some whitetail too, like up close, and they weren't bucks. But I don't know. I almost wonder if they see another 4-legged animal and it makes them a little more comfortable. But
They're
having
curious though, I think for
wolves
sure.
or dogs, so
I
you
know,
think
that's
they'd
what,
be
I've
Yeah.
had some does, some muley does that were super interested in him, like just staring
Yeah.
at both of us. And these ones were probably like 30 yards away, and they're just staring at us like, "Hey, what's up?"
yeah. And
Weird.
well, Breeze walked Norris around town up by the house there.
Yeah.
And she's had bucks and does actually follow them around town.
Crazy.
So I don't know what it is. I think they know they're not predatory,
Right.
and maybe it makes them comfortable that there's another 4-legged creature walking around. It maybe takes some focus off the bipod, right?
Yeah. Could be.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening there, but I think we should keep track of this. It's already three deer to what? 3-1? One deer without Oscar,
yeah,
and
that was that
and 3
doe.
with him.
Yeah.
Or no, 2 without Oscar, 3 with him.
Yeah, he wasn't on that trip with us, so that.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really interesting, man.
yeah. Well, we'll keep tallying. We'll keep an Excel spreadsheet going.
Yeah. Just keep bringing him until he's too old to come, and that'll be
Yeah.
it. Cool, man. Anything else you wanted to add to this episode?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the other thing to mention is the whole grizzly bear thing in BC, and
Yeah.
There's a email address. I think it's grizzly.bear@bcgov.ca or something
Yeah.
like that. So make sure you send an email and voice your opinion there. I think.
Can you still do that?
Well, I don't know. I think yesterday they said it was the last day. I heard, but
I guess it would.
I think you
really
can
hurt
still
to-
send emails to your MPs and CC that email address, and
Right.
yeah,
Nice.
it doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt. Yeah. If they see that stuff still pouring in, they know that it matters to people, and yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and feel free, like you can reference our episode 46 too, right? Like we talked about that with some special
Yep.
guests and tried to address some points, and
yeah.
hopefully if they listen to that and get some insight from it, then all the better.
For sure. Yeah, man. Good. Next episode is episode 50.
Yeah, it's
That's-
a big one.
It's
It's a
crazy.
milestone.
Yeah. We don't really know what we're doing. It's going to be a classic bullshit session between the two of us. We're going to kick it old school, kind of like what today was.
Yep.
But I'll probably just not come in with anything prepared. We'll just talk and reflect on how cool this whole journey of not just hunting, but podcasting has been for us. And 50 episodes is pretty cool, I think. It just keeps growing and growing, and we are meeting more and more people and hearing from all you guys. So we love it. We'll continue to do more episodes as long as you guys keep listening to us.
Yep.
So on the last episode with Reg there, we proposed a challenge to you guys, and we're recording this episode early, so we only released that a couple of days ago, but the reviews are already pouring in. And what we're trying to do is get to 100 rating reviews in the Canadian iTunes store, and 40, those Americans are slacking, up from 30 to 40 in the American iTunes store. So I'll give a shout out to a few people that have just recently left reviews left reviews for us in the American store. NJ Upland Hunter, thank you very much. Also Eska Falls left a review for us in the Canadian store. Let's have a look and see who left some stuff here for us. Let me scroll down. It shows that all the old stuff first. Pretty sweet that we're asking for more because it helps us out, but the fact that there's already over 90 is pretty sweet. So oh boy, these are always hard to read sometimes. J Gibby 87, this is in the Canadian store now, thank you very much. What Your Beef, also in the Canadian store. Messenger Book, CPEC, Chris from Canada. These are all recent ones, so thanks, guys. This stuff really helps us out. We read it, we appreciate it. It helps us out more than you know. So,
any reviews of note that we should read? Anything special?
Are you thinking of one in particular?
Kinda.
This is my favorite one. The title is "They Made Me Do It," and this is from a day and a half ago here. And the review is "I'm just writing this because they made me." Love the Vortex episode.
Nice.
Is that the one you're thinking?
Yep.
Yeah. So even if that's all you write, that helps us out. So thank you. But yeah, should we get the hell out of here?
Let's do it.
I'm loving the new podcast studio.
Yeah, for sure. Snap some pictures of it.
Yeah, we'll get some photos and kind of show you it's still a bit of a work in progress, but day by day it gets a little bit better and better. And
I like your chandelier.
I love it and hate it at the same time. It was already in here, so
it's very I don't know what the word is. Lady Marmalade.
Yeah. Something like that. Cool. Well, good luck to you guys. We'll run a bit of a schedule here because we're ahead of the game. So you're going to hear from us every week this month. So enjoy some regular podcasts while they last.
For sure.
Happy hunting, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.